1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Good morning, guys.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey, excuse me. Shout out to all those beta males at the Elizabeth Warren rally. My gosh. I'm going to be showing you guys some clips from the Elizabeth Warren rally that took place 2 nights ago. I wasn't watching it because I was watching President Trump's rally in New Mexico, which was excellent. I showed you guys clips of that yesterday. But I have some clips of the Elizabeth Warren rally, and it was silly, ridiculous. And hopefully you don't get sick of hearing her, but I just want to show you a little bit about what she's like. I know you're familiar already. I just want to look at how she acts in contrast with how we know President Trump acts in rallies. She's like so ridiculous. No authority. She's just a liberal woman. I think that she was a college professor or something, law professor for like bankruptcy law or something. But anyways, I am James Hake. This is the Hake Report, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, Wednesday, September 18th, 2019, live in hour 4 of Jesse Lee Peterson's streams, including YouTube, Periscope, D Live, shout out guys, and of course Mixer. Thank you guys for the faithful people at Mixer. It's nice. Mixer.com/JLP Talk. Follow him there. Trying to be on all the platforms that we can be on. Plus live audio, jlptalk.com. I'm going to get to your calls. Appreciate you guys calling in already. Podcast available, findable afterward via thehakereport.com/podcast. By the way, get Jesse Lee Peterson's Suffer and Die t-shirt that he got. Well, you can't get his, but you can get the Suffer and Die t-shirt from the Fallen State Teespring store. Different from the Jesse Lee Peterson Teespring store. And of course, different from the Bond Teespring store. We have 3 different Teespring stores, plus mine, the Hake Report Teespring store. But you can find Jesse's 3 different Teespring stores. The Fallen State Teespring store, my T-shirt that I'm wearing, Rebuilding the Family by Rebuilding the Man, Bond, at the Bond Rebuilding the Man Teespring store. Find all of those available on that rotating banner ad on jesseleepeterson.com. jesseleepeterson.com, and then you'll see this banner ad thing. It changes. It slides over, and then you see a new banner ad. And you'll see the Fallen State one, Jesse Lee Peterson Teespring store, and Bond Rebuilding the Man one. Women's Forum tomorrow, rebuildingtheman.com/events. Women's Forum's 3rd Thursday of the month, typically. 7 p.m. at Bond in our current location in Los Angeles. Don't be like Elizabeth Warren, ladies. And don't be this beta, guys. So let me just get right into this. I'll get like halfway into it, and then I'll get to some callers. Appreciate you guys holding. Just be patient, please. So this is from C-SPAN. Senator Elizabeth Warren had a speech in Washington Square Park, and she's the Democrat from Massachusetts. She's very nasty. I've been aware of her since 2013, 2014, when she won. So she outlined her plan to, quote-unquote, battle corruption. In her remarks referencing the deadly 1911 Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire as an example of how people can fight back against corrupt forces. But she was promoting women big time. And you heard a little short clip of this from the Jesse Peterson show just now in the 3rd hour. But I have more for you. And you know how they have a guy that pumps up the crowd before the headline comes on? Well, she, of course, had a black guy coming up talking about basically liberal values, which are no values at all. But so this first clip, Joel, black guy talking about corrupt movements as though they're good. Black Lives Matter, Me Too, disgusting movements. Listen to this.
She has been one of the fiercest fighters for working folks in politics today. Now, my background is in social movements, and social movements like the Movement for Black Lives, or Me Too, or Occupy Wall Street emerge when political institutions aren't responsive to or ignore the problems that a significant segment of the people are facing. And today, we've got a few pretty serious crises. Am I right? Runaway inequality has thrown our economy off kilter. Violence against black folks, Native folks, Latinx folks, and other people of color continues unabated. The planet is melting, burning, flooding. This government is locking children in cages at the border and separating families, as well as locking kids in juvenile detention in our cities, like New York. And our democracy seems captured by forces who are happy about all of that. Am I right? So it's game time, right?
It's terrible.
So Elizabeth Warren has proposed a host of solutions that meet the full scale of the crises we face. From childcare to housing to taxing the super rich to a Green New Deal to create good jobs and save the planet. Elizabeth Warren has a plan for it.
So he talked about Black Lives Matter and hashtag Me Too as though those are good things, because the people, the real people, the normal people ignore false cries of, Chicken Little, the sky is falling. And this whole thing, he talked about violence against POCs, which is really ridiculous because it's being committed by other POCs, not by whites, for the most part. You can find a few times, every now and then, a white guy attacks a POC. But for the most part, it's POCs attacking whites and each other. Each other mainly, and then also sometimes whites. So he's lying about that. The planet is melting. I don't know. This guy is just not very manly. And I see him as, what my impression is, that he and Elizabeth Warren are exploiting each other. He's a black face for her to use, and she's an establishment political person for him to use to promote his thing. Because he's like this chairman of some far left party, so-called working families. That means working women. That means because he promoted child care. Child care is supposed to be done by the mother, and then sometimes a little bit the father. But he's not for that. He's for quote-unquote working women. And you're going to hear him later on, he promotes her, and then you're going to hear, I have to, put some generic music under it because it has this, what's her name? Some country singer woman. The most famous one. No, not Carrie Underwood. Like old school. Kelly Clarkson. I'll think of it later. I'll get to it when I come to it. But it was a 9 to 5 song. Not working 9 to 5, something. Dolly Parton. I think it's Dolly Parton. Anyways, Shania Twain. That's old school in Joel's mind. I was in high school when that came out, and you were like 5. Anyways, so yeah, I see these people as exploiting each other. Anyways, in order to, and use the people. And the people are so dumb that they'll fall for it. And I'm going to talk about these white liberals who are getting brainwashed in these schools. And it's kind of their parents' fault, too. Jesse makes a good point. A lot of conservative parents raise liberal children. But I want to show you guys the beta crowd. I showed you some screenshots at the beginning. If you're listening, you're just going to have to take my word for it. But I want to, yeah, they pan across the crowd, and it's just a whole lot of weak-looking guys, liberals, bored-looking, looking at their phones. But he's telling them to look at their phones. Anyways, listen to this. Here's, or watch this, part B.
And if you want to throw down with us, take your cell phone out for a second. If you want to throw down with us, I want you to text to us at the Working Families Party. Our number is 738-674. So get your phones out and text the words WFP, the number 4, Warren, to 738-674. Again, text WFP, the number 4, Warren, to 738-674. Because now is our moment. Our challenges are great, but I believe in my bones that 2020 can mark the beginning of a durable realignment in U.S. politics and perhaps even in world politics, where one day we'll look back and say, that was the beginning of the end of the Republican Party. That was when racist appeals finally stopped winning elections.
He hates white people.
That was when we began to see our differences and still reached across them. That was when we realized that we have just one planet and we are just one people. That was when we began to live up to the true promise of a democracy that has yet to be fulfilled. That was when we began to replace the society we were born into with one that is rooted in love and kindness and solidarity and dignity and even sanctity for all people.
Except for babies. So I mainly just wanted to show you the beta crowd and the beta male talking up like he feels it in his bones that we're going to replace the whites and the men. Or replace the society with one that has whatever? I don't know. Anyways, they were talking about the beginning of the end of the Republican Party, which was what blacks started. So he hates his forefathers. Anyways, maybe he's an islander. Maybe he's not American. But Elizabeth Warren hates white people. And that's why she said that she was Indian, American Indian. And kissing up to these people. Here is where this black guy introduces Elizabeth Warren, and I want you to watch her. And so, Joel, like when this music kicks on, it's generic music that I just pulled off of YouTube because it was 9 to 5 and it's copyrighted. So I pulled that down out, and so you hear in the real clip, you hear the crowd cheering over this Dolly Parton song, working 9 to 5. All classy song, but that's the only thing classy about this event. And you see her like waving, and she's like somebody's grandma, like energetic grandma, or somebody's college professor. Like she might make a cool college professor for a liberal, because all of them are liberals, right? But she doesn't make a good politician. She's evil. And so watch this, and I'll try to describe what's happening. She gets lost. Sometimes you can't see her face because those teleprompter things. You see these like things that are like angled. They look like music where you put your music notes on, those podium things. Pointing at her. You see these things, and she goes in behind those teleprompters waving at people so you don't see her face. Anyways, watch this clip. It's just, you don't see Trump acting like this. But anyways.
Without further ado, U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren.
This is my music. But it's basically the same style. A little more upbeat. So he's getting off the stage. It's a huge stage. This is in New York, I think. And eventually you see her running up on stage. Here she comes, maybe? Is she gonna come? Is she coming? Where is she? Oh, there she is. So energetic. finally kicked off, so I put the sound back on. You're so full of yourself. I would think you'd be embarrassed.
Maurice. And can we hear it for State Senator Biaggi and Assemblywoman Neo?
Assemblywoman Neo.
Hello, New York.
What a joke, man. Like, this is how Ireland must feel, because one of those countries of Ireland, there's like a Northern Ireland and an Ireland. One of them elected a homosexual. And then Germany is so cucked, let's call it, meaning they're surrendering their strength, that they had or have Angela Merkel. At least Angela Merkel is not this silly. But this woman is silly. But Angela Merkel is evil. She brought in a bunch of rape refugees, infamously. Like a percent or two, brought in a whole percent or two of Muslim refugees from Northern Africa or somewhere. I could be messing up the story a little bit, but she's basically surrendered her country to liberalism because she's a liberal. And we're raising too many liberal white babies. Got to make conservative white babies or decent nationalist white babies. Anyways, she is like full of herself and this ego trip. It's like a years-long ego trip. You know, you can just totally divert your life in the wrong direction by following people's praise and stuff. And I feel that that's what she's doing. She's like all on a trip and pushing that "Hello, New York." And I don't know, it's just a joke. I can't imagine a man or even a woman being proud of themselves voting for someone like her, or her, much less her. So I have more of her talking about how she never wanted to be in politics. She was a professor, and she still comes off like a professor, a kooky one. Most professors are Marxists. As you heard on my show when I interviewed that guy, and then I'm going to get to your calls. Appreciate you guys holding. Let me just real quick give you her talking about racial and economic justice, and then I'll get to some calls, and then the rest. Go for it.
Now, some of you know this. I never thought I'd get into politics. Not in a million years. But when I got into this fight, I quickly found out nobody makes it on their own. If you're going to make any kind of progress in this country, you need allies who know how to fight. And more importantly, you need allies who know how to win.
Like Trump.
The Working Families Party has been on the front lines of fighting for racial and economic justice and building a grassroots movement to elect the next generation, and I am honored to have their support. And tonight, with all of you as witnesses, I'm going to make a promise. And that is, when I'm in the White House, working families will have a champion.
Shudder to think of her being in the White House. Racial and economic justice, as comedian Evan says, is not justice. If you have to put a descriptor on it, like racial justice or economic justice, or environmental justice, you know that means not justice. And it's so typical, he points out too, that liberals don't do anything. They take jobs that don't do anything. They become professors. She was a professor. They become journalists, because journalists don't do anything. They just talk about the people who do something. And they become politicians. And she's a politician now. She went from professor to politician. And that's nasty. And listen to her voice all wavering and uncertain. She's like an insecure woman. not like an insecure woman. She is an insecure woman, and she's a liberal. Worst thing that you can be. Chris from Arizona. Thank you for holding, man. How are you doing, Chris?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm not a man.
Sorry about that.
Maybe I should tell Nick to spell my name with a K from now on. Maybe?
Is it spelled with a K or is it spelled with
No,
C?
it's spelled with a C, the Christian spelling.
Okay. I keep forgetting. He needs to put the F for female next to instead of the question mark, because we have that.
That would work.
Nice to hear from you again.
Thank you. Caller Sean yesterday with Jesse, amazing.
Yeah, that was nice.
Nathan needs to go to his mom and get his gun back, and he'll feel like a man. Really.
Yeah.
Right?
That's terrible.
And Tanya today was amazing.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Nice.
And I want to thank you for advice that you gave me the very first time I called. You told me to not be a nervous mother.
Yeah.
Or my children will resent me.
Mm-hmm.
And it really sunk in, and I thought about it. And over the past few weeks since you told me that, I'm like so close to my kids now. I mean, it just, bam.
Right on. Yeah, that was probably the only issue that I had with my mother was her worrying. And actually with my father, because my father didn't respond well to her worrying, he took it out on us because he wanted to be the bad guy, not her. I really
appreciate what you said.
Yeah.
Because it's changed me, and my kids are better for it.
Yeah, nice.
So, thank you.
That's a good report. I'm glad that I said something right.
You did. So
cool.
The Bisbee Observer, Thursday, they only do their newspaper once a week, and I get their newspaper. Front page, accident, library, the accident was bad, a library award, Eagle Scout project, veterans, the Eagle Scout project was about veterans, and he built something for them, which is good. But a CCSO detention officer charged with unlawful sexual conduct, consensual sex with a female inmate.
Wow.
Front page. And he did get arrested. He is now in the detention center. Sheriff Mark Daniels didn't really stand behind him at all. They must have some really good evidence against him, I guess, because he hasn't been to trial yet.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, page 2, you can have coffee and donuts with Judy. Page 4, a crossword puzzle. Buried on page 10, just down the street from me. They arrested this sex offender, arrested near Hereford, just down the street from me. Buried on page 10, and it's very tiny. Mm-hmm. Not only is it a tiny article, but the person who wrote the article, the name of the person who wrote it, isn't there.
Wow.
So this previously deported sex offender
predictable. Mm-hmm.
was found illegally re-entering the U.S. border. His name is Heliodoro Regino Garcia, 44 years old. He has been deported twice, and then convicted of molestation of a minor and sexual battery in Fulton County, Georgia.
Stories like this are so common.
When he was, what?
Stories like this are so common. That's why Trump said that they're rapists.
Correct. So remember I told you about my family. We came here legally from Lithuania, and they caused trouble.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. Your grandparents became... Great-grandparents became liberals or something. I forget exactly what it was. But, and they came legally. Yeah, you make a really good point.
They didn't become liberals. No, they did not become liberals. They were very patriotic.
Oh, they were doing crime, though.
They would not allow my mom to speak the language.
Okay.
They wouldn't allow her to speak Lithuanian.
Yeah.
Because we were American.
Nice.
Now we are Americans.
Yeah.
So, but during Prohibition, they did make the alcohol.
That's right.
And, in Cicero, Illinois, they were bad news.
Yeah.
They were gangsters. They were bad news.
That's why we didn't like the Irish or the Italians.
Yep.
I say we, but those, the Americans back then. Anyways,
there was
man.
Something. So we have these tents on the border, right? And this
the tent
author,
courts, right? The tent courts.
The tent courts. Oh my gosh! So on the front page of the Arizona Daily Star, they're talking about the tent courts, but the gentleman that wrote the article, he's not even. He might be an American citizen, but his name is Noman Merchant. Noman spelled Nomaan, which tells me that he's Indian.
Yeah.
From India, right? Originally, his
sounds like
must
it.
Be from India.
Yeah.
Well, his wording in this article, the Mexicans are afraid, or no, the illegals,
right?
Whether they're from the right, they're afraid and
sympathetic.
They're being forced by Trump's administration to wait in Mexico while their request for asylum winds through the clogged migration court.
Yep.
Give me a break. Listen to that wording.
That's how I feel about that too. Yeah, it's so obvious that these so-called journalists, although they write some factual information, a lot of factual information, they're sympathetic and they're activists on behalf of the liberals and the illegal aliens and against Americans like Joe Arpaio and all that. I'm going to talk about how these white native-born Americans are becoming socialists, and they're moving to counties like Maricopa County. That's where Sheriff Joe Arpaio is from. And Arpaio was subject to major smears for years, if not decades. And it was so bad that I even had a negative impression of him back when I wasn't into politics because of those smears against him.
Right. That's happened to me too.
Yeah. And against like Fox News. I remember when I first started, I traveled with Jesse a little bit as a bodyguard for him / assistant.
Cool. Bodyguard. That's pretty cool.
And he would, back in 2008, he would talk about how Fox News is fair and balanced, which it was, especially even more so back then. Yeah. And, some people are dissatisfied with them, and I understand those dissatisfactions. But anyways, the point is, like, I had the impression that I had the negative impression of Fox News as it being uncool and all that stuff because of the constant media campaign against, and, mainstream academia and all them trashing Fox News and Sheriff Joe Arpaio and all them. So it is brainwashing to the people that are. Back then I was kind of like a Joel, where Joel didn't really pay attention to politics early on. He still kind of doesn't, but he's learning stuff just from hearing the show and giving his honest impression. That's how I was, but I was still brainwashed against Arpaio, against Fox News to a point, and stuff like that, where I was. And when Jesse said all the illegals have to be shipped back, I was like, oh, well, maybe he's wrong about that, but I know that he's right about the spiritual stuff. So it didn't really faze me, even though it shocked me when I heard him say that. I wasn't like, no, he's wrong. But I was like, oh, maybe he's wrong about that, but I don't mind. But that brainwashing is deep, even to people who are non-political and think of themselves as independent or even think of themselves as conservative. It's crazy. It's a mess.
I know. Since I've been listening to Jesse, I've been noticing the world around me and like, wow, how right he is.
Yeah. I appreciate the tips, Chris. The Bisbee Observer. Corrupt is the rest. Take care, Chris.
You too. Bye.
All right. Bye. Let me get to Chris. Another Chris. Male. Out of New Hampshire. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Doing fine.
You know what? Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, you know what? I'm pretty happy since the economy's booming and, Trump's brought so many jobs back. It's going to be really good for these presidential candidates in 2020 to get a job because they're not going to become president. You know what I mean?
Good point, man. They're trying to. Trump pointed out how they're hoping for a recession so that they can increase their chances to defeat him. They being the media. It's a mess.
I wish the news would report on factual information.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Trump supporter, but I go to these Democratic events just to hear opposing opinions.
Oh.
It's horrible. I went to a Beto rally, and it was a good group of 25 people.
Yes.
And all he did was scream about racism and how he's going to take away guns.
Right. He is so pathetic. Oh my gosh. He's as bad as Elizabeth Warren. Yeah.
Oh,
Are you the one, Chris, I have it in mind, who trolled Joe Biden?
Yes.
Okay.
Sleepy Joe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Send us that video. Send us that video when you get a chance. Email it to james@jesseleepeterson.com or producer@jesseleepeterson.com.
I will. I'll do that right away. And it's funny when I went to a Tulsi Gabbard. I met her in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Okay.
When I walked into this tavern, this black male came up to me. I was wearing my MAGA hat, build the wall sign. They came up to me. This guy came up to me, and he asked me this outlandish question. He said, "What would happen if I walked into a Klan?" And I'm like, I said, I don't even know how to answer that right now. I said, I condemn the Klan.
Right.
What, is this some type of rally I shouldn't be at? Is this a hateful rally?
That's a good point.
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
I gave them facts after facts how Trump is not a racist, and he couldn't. He had excuse after excuse.
That's nice, man.
Oh my God! And yeah, I went to the Democratic convention in New Hampshire. They can't even compare it to a Trump rally.
Right.
Oh, lines after lines. Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a good point. I showed those beta males at the Elizabeth Warren rally, and those do not compare to you just look at the crowd of the typical Trump rally, and those are like decent people. You can just tell they have sense, and these people don't have any sense. They look like a bunch of liberals.
No, and I showed up 3 hours early to see Trump. Couldn't even get in the building. I showed up an hour late to see Sleepy Joe, and I could get front row tickets, and I met him.
Right.
And I trolled him too. So
nice.
Yeah, I'll send you the video. Yeah. So I'm just happy that Trump's brought jobs back so these guys can get a job.
Yeah.
They're gonna need it. They're wasting their time.
Yeah, I agree.
What is Pocahontas doing?
She's on an ego trip. It's
ugly.
This
country will never be a socialist country, even though Bernie wants it to be.
Yeah, and so does Elizabeth Warren. Basically, all the Democrats are socialists now, including, according to that one guy, I haven't looked into it yet, Tulsi Gabbard seemed to, according to one caller, had socialist ideas. I still need to look into that one.
Isn't it weird that the left, they scream about taking away our guns and guns are killing people, but more babies are dying in the womb than guns?
By far, yeah. They are the most murderous, brutal, heartless, evil, violent organization that's ever been in America, the Democrats. They're worse than the KKK, probably worse than the Nazis, actually. 60 million babies killed. 60 million.
The most dangerous place for a baby to live is inside of a woman.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. It's crazy. It's crazy. I feel bad. I only feel bad for people who call Trump a racist.
Yeah.
They only listen to the mainstream news, and they're not listening too much. So what do you have to listen to?
Yeah.
Listen to CNN.
They're not thinking for themselves. That's for sure. Chris, it's nice to hear from you.
Yeah, I'll send you the where do you want me to send you the video?
Producer@jesseleepeterson.com.
All right, I'll send it.
All right, take care, Chris.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Let me quickly get to a couple more clips, and then more of you callers. Appreciate you guys holding. Yeah, this Maurice Mitchell. I know that some of you want to talk about him and Elizabeth Warren. Let me just give you a couple more little tastes of Elizabeth Warren. You heard a shorter clip of this from the Jesse Show. Part E, Joel. Warren says it's not about men, but women. Women!
I am especially glad to be here in Washington Square Park. I wanted to give this speech right here, and not because of the arch behind me or the president that this square is named for. Nope. We are not here today because of famous arches or famous men. In fact, we're not here because of men at all.
Yes, you are. Listen to them.
We're here because of some hard-working women. Women who more than 100 years ago worked long hours in a brown 10-story building just a block that way. Women who worked at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory.
Disgusting. She tells this long sob story about these women that died in a fire, and girls as young as like 14 or so that died in a fire. Many of them were immigrants, Jews, she said, and somebody else, minorities at the time, right? And basically the story goes that many of these women at these various factories had been protesting, going on strike, and complaining about dangerous conditions, and everybody ignored it, and now they all died. I mean, not all of them, but many of them died. Like their building set on fire, they couldn't get out of the exits. Some of them had to jump out of the windows and die, just land on the ground dying, just kind of like 9/11, by the way. But she doesn't care about that. So she gave this sob story, and then she talks about we're going to fix corruption. Let me just quickly play this part F. We're going to fix corruption. And I shudder to imagine her as president again. This is disgusting. Here she is.
Now, when you see a government that works great for those with money and connections and doesn't work for much of anyone else, that's corruption, plain and simple, and we need to call it out for what it is.
Okay, Grandma. No authority.
Corruption has put our planet at risk. Corruption has broken our economy, and corruption is breaking our democracy. I know what's broken.
It's not a democracy.
I've got a plan to fix it.
That's her tagline. I've got a plan to fix it.
I'm running for President of the United States.
No. Look at her. She's all wide-armed and toothy grin. So that's her. Let me get to Sandra from Michigan. I think it's dying. Hey, Sandra, thanks for holding. How are you?
Hi, James. I'm fine. Thanks. I wanted to talk about crazy Elizabeth Warren.
Okay.
And these social justice warriors.
Yes.
And I'm sick of hearing about our planet, one people, one planet.
Yeah.
And they're brainwashing people, and Elizabeth Warren cheated her way into college by claiming to be Indian, a minority race, claiming and cheated her way into professorship that way. And she's a perfect politician because she's a liar and she's a cheat.
I don't know if that's what got her in, but she definitely tried to brag about it. And
right. Yeah. And then when she had to prove it, she was like less than 1%, which is like zero.
1/1024th.
So where did she get the idea that she had enough of that heritage that it, justified her getting special admittance into school? And
I don't know if she got special admittance, though. I think she just bragged about it. I don't know what the story is. I don't really care, because you can plainly look at her lying here. And you bring up this good point about them talking about, oh, this is one world, we're one people. But they don't want to unite with Trump or Trump supporters. They know that that they're evil and we're good, or we're at least for what's good, voting for the good guy. some of us are not so good.
You know, they're trying to present this false persona that, you know, we are one people with everybody else.
No, they hate people.
We don't want to be equal with everybody else.
Yep.
And guess what? There's other cultures that want to keep their culture pure.
Yeah.
Japan.
Yep.
Japan is not multiracial.
People call Japan racist, by the way.
China is not multiracial.
Yep.
China has put all the Muslims into encampments, the
Yep.
few that they have. Saudi Arabia is not multiracial. Much of the Middle East does not want to be multiracial.
Yeah.
What are they talking about? One planet, one people.
That's only for the white countries, the white Christian countries that stand in the way of globalist socialism, basically. Because those other countries
are... Well, you know what Japan is doing now? Because they've had such a drop in the birth of babies and they've caught up with them.
They're corrupt.
That they don't have enough people to work in manufacturing. So they are letting some immigrants come into the country. They put a cap on the number. But they have said you cannot bring your families with you. You can only stay 5 years, and then you have to leave. And there are no entitlement programs for them. They have to come to work, and that's it.
That's good.
Now, the Japanese people aren't happy about that.
Right.
Because they don't want the influence of other races.
But they're corrupt. They need to make Japanese babies. But
they need to start having more children.
Yeah.
But you know
but that's what's happening to us too. So shame on us. It's a shame.
Social justice warriors talk about pollution.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? India and China are the biggest polluters of the planet. What are they going to do? They criticize us? What are they going to do about China and India? Nothing.
Nope, they're racist. They'd be racist for criticizing them.
And then they want to support these 475,000 immigrants that have come over since the beginning of the fiscal year. And the border agents are just letting them walk around the fence and come in because, you know, they're claiming they're refugees.
Yeah.
So and they just literally just stand there and watch them walk over.
Yeah, it's a mess.
In the meantime, we're having to pay for their hygiene products, buildings for them to live in, cots for them to sleep on,
tent
food
courts
for them to eat. And we're already still supporting all of those that unaccompanied minors that Obama let in, thousands of them. We're still paying for all of them.
I know. It's so bad. But Trump is working on all of that. He's working on stopping the wannabe refugees from pretending to be refugees here. And he's working on the Remain in Mexico. He built some tents. They spent $25 million on these tent courts so that those people that are remaining in Mexico can come show up to court and say, no, you can't come in, hopefully. And then they'll get out. But you're right, it's a mess.
But you know what? I think the biggest problem, James, is people don't understand the world.
Yeah.
They've never been anywhere else in the world. They're naive. They don't understand that, you know, there's always been the conquerors and the conquerors.
Yep.
They don't know how deprived other countries are.
You know what? I think that they're happy that we're becoming conquered. They're just siding with them because they are not for what's right. So they hate us so bad they're willing to be conquered.
Yeah, and they have this naivety that if everything's equal, then everybody will be happy and everything will be wonderful.
Yeah.
What will happen is everybody will be poor.
Yeah.
Everyone will be controlled by the government, and no one will have the incentive to compete for anything because if you compete, you don't get ahead.
Yeah.
Because you're not allowed to have more than the other person.
I appreciate it, Sandra. Take care.
Okay, thanks, James. Bye.
All right. James out of Nebraska. James, how are you?
Hey, thanks, man. Everything's going good or well.
Nice. Right on.
Yeah. I just wanted to get on the phone and talk about kind of like the huge rally that happened with Elizabeth Warren and that came out and
she claimed it was 20,000. What's that?
it's insane. It's like there's so many people that, like the last caller was saying, I remember her name. She was very educated, it seems like.
Yeah, Sandra.
She, like Sandra was saying, a lot of people don't have this worldly view of what it is like to be in different nations and see what other cultures are like. They're pushing this basically no country mentality, that it's wrong to have a country, it's wrong to protect your own people, and it's wrong to not let anybody that wants to come here just be here. And it's crazy to me how many people are under this mind control, I would call it.
Yeah, no borders, no walls, no USA at all. That's the Antifa line, and they openly chant it everywhere. It's like a nationwide chant. They were chanting that up in Northern California where we were.
Well, now the politicians are openly campaigning on that. Basically, that phrase is what she's saying. So it's crazy that they have these massive amounts of people that just don't have any clue of what that would really mean.
Did you have any comments about this black guy, Maurice Mitchell, who drummed up the crowd before her? And he's all...
Yeah, that's basically all about him. He kind of was the leader of it, but I have a feeling that her campaign was, behind his speech. That probably wasn't 100% him,
Yeah, could be. They're just... I mean, it's typical. They're all of the same Satan's mind, so they don't really... They're in a cult, the cult of liberalism. But it's not even really liberal anymore. Anyways, James, I appreciate it. Anything else?
Yeah, man. We got to win 2020.
Yeah.
We can't let our country go, man.
That's
to everybody.
I'm going to get to some clips from her. She accuses Trump of just being about himself, and it reminds me of what this white nationalist guy, who says that he's a white nationalist, called into my show and made the same claim. And he based his ideas on the Trump University and his marriages and different things. And you have to look at what he's actually doing and saying today. He's real. He stands by what he believes. And so it's just shocking to me it's kind of shocking to hear the white nationalist supposed to be somebody like for what's right, because many of the white nationalists do say true things, to like fall for that anti-Trump crap. They sound just like the liberals, just like they fell for the same liberal media line.
I think what happens is a lot of these people get caught up in just being in the identity and not really being in what's right or wrong. And, that's why you got the extremists in every single one of these different groups of people. They all kind of might not even really know what the hell they're talking about. Half the time they're just blabbing,
Yeah, it's a shame because this guy seemed like he was almost in his middle age, but you're right, man. I appreciate it, James.
All right, cool. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm going to get to the rest of you callers. Hang tight. I see you. I appreciate you. But let me just play this last couple of clips. I think Elizabeth Warren trashes Trump as corruption in the flesh.
Okay, so let's start with the obvious. Donald Trump is corruption in the flesh.
Look in the mirror.
He's sworn to serve the people of the United States, but he only serves himself and his partners in corruption. He tries to divide us. White against black, Christians against Muslim, straight against queer and trans, and everyone against immigrants. Because if we're all busy fighting each other, no one will notice that he and his buddies are stealing more and more of our country's wealth and destroying the future for everyone else.
That's literally the liberals. That's the Democrats.
Now, as bad as things are, we have to recognize our problems didn't start with Donald Trump. He made them worse, but we need to take a deep breath and recognize that a country that elects Donald Trump is already in serious trouble.
Look at the mirror. Look in 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 the Well, we are in serious trouble. Well, we are already in serious trouble. We elected Donald Trump because he's the best one to fix it. He's got a plan to fix it. But she accused him of everything that she's doing. She's the one who's corrupt. Any Democrat is corrupt by definition, right? She's the one dividing people. White against black, Christians against queer and trans, and everyone against immigrants. No, Trump is for uniting people around what's right around love for the country. And the people that are dividing are the ones who hate unity. They hate love. They hate truth. And that's all that Trump has brought. It was love and truth and realness. And she's fake. Even though she wasn't a politician, so she doesn't come off as one of those typical trained politicians. She comes off more of a college professor, brainwashed liberal socialist, professor politician, grandma. Anyways, let me just quickly get to this thing where she accuses the Republicans of lying about climate and guns, etc.
Republican politicians sold out a long time ago, filling the courts with judges who expand the rights of corporations while they destroy the rights of citizens, passing tax cuts for wealthy donors while doing nothing to help working families, and sucking up corporate donations while lying about climate change, lying about guns, and lying about health care. And too many politicians in both parties have convinced themselves that playing the money for influence game is the only way to get something done.
That's what she's doing. She's looking for influence. She said they lie about climate change, guns, and health care. Obama said that if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. I wonder if she called Obama out about that. She wants full-on socialist, totally socialist health care. So she's even worse than, well, she's every bit as bad as Obama. I guess worse. Climate change, that's a hysteria thing. People are literally going to like groups because they have climate change anxiety, according to some headline that I saw on Drudge. And I don't doubt it. There's women, white women, unfortunately, who are not going to have any babies because they don't want to overpopulate the world with climate change stuff. They should tell the Africans and Asians to stop having babies, and the Muslims. They should join forces with those eco-fascists that committed those violent terror attacks at that mosque over in Christchurch, of all places, and the Walmart over in El Paso. They sound just like them. Those are the climate change people. And she's part of them. So she's the liar about guns and healthcare and stuff. She's just not for what's right. She's for abortion and all that madness. Speaking of people that are not for what's right, my favorite caller, Maze out of Dayton, Ohio. How are you?
Hello, James. I hear y'all complaining again.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Is this lady running for president?
Yep.
What's she supposed to do, just sit and not say nothing?
Yeah, she should support Trump. And she should
think on her mind, right?
She should stop running for president because she shouldn't be running for president. So she should stop running for president and say Trump is right. I was wrong. Yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh.
So the man that's running against Trump that y'all don't ever have a conversation about, y'all like him too?
Which
or
one?
Y'all just like him? I forgot his name.
Beto, yeah, he's very forgettable. All the guys are very forgettable that run against Trump.
Y'all don't like him?
Huh?
Y'all don't like him? Y'all don't like what he's saying?
Joe Biden or Beto O'Rourke or any of them?
I'm saying the one that's running as a Republican against.
Oh, there's like 3 beta male rhinos that are running against Trump right now. Joe Walsh. Yeah, those guys should surrender too. They should say, oh, Trump is right. I was wrong.
Why y'all upset with them?
We are.
That's what I'm saying. Why?
Why are we upset with them? Because they're dumb.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
who do you support for president, Mace? Who are you going to vote for?
Who do I support?
Yeah.
I'm not supporting anybody because I don't see nothing to support.
Nice. Except for Trump.
And it's like Elizabeth Warren said, I'm going to vote, but that doesn't mean that I can vote for myself, can't I?
I guess you can.
I'm not one of those, the left of two evils with these crazy people coming out with, and then you got these little our followers going behind saying the same thing. And when y'all pull out that Obama card, every time you got to have a conversation, you got to pull this little credit card out, Obama.
Because Obama was packed full of lies, so we have plenty to pull from.
He left the White House and he's gone.
No, he's not gone.
No criminal records
he's not
and all
gone.
this stuff that we see now with the one that came in with some.
No, he did plenty wrong. He was very corrupt.
And you're still trying to act like he's
scandals.
dead. Do y'all want him back or something? It sounds like it. And then when it comes to, if all God's children got a role, if all God's children have a role,
who are God's children? Who are God's children
on this planet?
Who are God's children?
All of his children. Everything
Which
that's on
ones?
the planet is his.
Everything that's not on the planet is not God's children.
There's supposed to be one group of people that's supposed to have the role to tell other people what to do.
There are God's children.
To
quote that Jewish guy from the Holocaust, there are two races of people: God's children and Satan's children. Most of us are Satan's children. Very few will become God's children. So
James, let me
now,
tell you, if all of God's children got a role, and if you got innocence and you don't have hatred in your heart, you would look towards yourself.
You
and
claim not to have hatred in your heart, but I'm not sure that you're really checking yourself.
What?
You claim not to have hatred in your heart, but I'm not sure you're actually checking yourself.
I check myself all the time.
Maybe you're blind, so you can't check yourself properly.
I don't want to rule nobody, and I don't want to take over to something.
Yeah, you do. You want Bible go-to guy to be quiet about, only talk about himself and white people.
He asked a question. He asked me a question, and I gave him an answer.
No. Sometimes we talk about black people, us whites, and then you call in and try to tell us whites what not to say until we talk about our own issues.
I'm just telling you, I know what you do. Just like you want to say, you know what I do? I see you every day and see what you do.
Right.
So you're trying to hide it. Just like I say, you're dumb if you don't realize that you make mistakes.
Wow, don't call me dumb. That's me.
I mean, I'm not saying you. I'm saying those that think like that.
Okay.
So that's not my problem because you're too stupid to understand and look at yourself sometimes, and you want to always point at somebody else. That's why I say, why are y'all upset with the men that's running as Republicans now? Why are y'all mad with them? Y'all mad with Elizabeth Warren, everybody running for president. That's what they're doing. They're running, right?
Yep.
Everybody should have the
I'm not particularly mad at Elizabeth Warren. I think that she's just a joke.
Yes, you are. You're complaining about her. And then you got this one.
Everybody that complains is not mad. I'm telling that she's a joke. Anyway, Maze, I gotta go.
This world is turning another people from Asia and all these different places.
Are you happy about the white minority?
It's not pure anymore. So you got to face that every day when you open your eyes, even if 10% of people of color in your little town that you live in. You got
10% of people of color in this little town of L.A.? Yeah, right, Maze. All right.
So, and unless you're too dumb to know, you need to look around.
Yep.
Spend some time with something that don't look like you. Maybe you'll feel better about yourself. Not you, James, but other people.
I don't know, Maze.
Worry about black people. So have a good one.
All right, you too. Anyways, Trump mocks Elizabeth Warren's New York City crowd. Anybody could do that, he said. He said, if I went to Manhattan, that's like one of the most populous places in the world. And I think anybody could get 20,000 people, but she didn't get 20,000 people. That's what her campaign said. Her campaign lied. Real quick headline from Fox News. Mike Pompeo, I think he's the Secretary of State, said those Saudi oil attacks were an act of war, quote unquote, by Iran, not Yemen rebels. Uh-oh. Well, we better watch out. But I think Trump can handle it properly. So just a little update. Trump is going to be dealing with Iran, but I think he'll do the right thing. Don't get nervous. Callers, I'm sorry I can't get to the rest of you, but we'll see you tomorrow. Call back tomorrow. Take care, guys.